Hi, it's Joe Hyde of San Angelo Live, and with me to my left is candidate for Tom Green County Sheriff, Keith Muncey, Lieutenant Keith Muncey, you're currently in the Sheriff's office now.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Anyway, Keith has been with the Sheriff's Department for 19 years, and what in God's green earth got into you to want to run to be the head guy to the sheriff?
Well, I've been part of this community for 40 years. I've lived here. I've worked at the Sheriff's Office for 19 years, and I've seen a lot of things that's happened in this community. So I've seen what worked and what has not worked. And so with a leadership role as the sheriff, I want to be able to better serve this community.
What, we've seen the Sheriff's Office kind of transform itself over the last two administrations.
Yes, sir.
The latest one was David Jones. Can you talk about some of the good things that have happened with the Sheriff's Office over, let's say, the last 4 to 8 years?
Yeah, Sheriff Jones have done a great job. He's brought on cold cases. He focuses a lot more on that, which is good. We have an investigator that's assigned to that. And so with the DNA technology have changed over the years, it's given us a better leads, and the forensic on that is really good as well. And also technology has improved, so he tries to keep us up to date on technology.
And the sheriff's office is it's part of the county, so the money that funds the payroll and buys the nice gold sheriff's cars and stuff like that doesn't come from the city, doesn't come from the school districts. It comes from the county, which has the lowest tax rate, right?
That is correct.
But it has a larger territory, but it's always under duress for budgeting and things like that. How, as a sheriff, if you were to be elected sheriff, how would you handle some of these budget shortfalls that the sheriff's offices across the state always have?
You brought up some good points. Yes, it is always difficult because especially when people here raises taxes. My goal as sheriff is not to raise taxes or to encourage raising taxes. I know sometimes it's unforeseen, but
just to clarify, the county commissioner's court decides the tax rate.
That is correct.
The sheriff is a big part of that because public safety is a big part of their budget.
That is correct. Yes, sir. Right, and so I look at ways how can I improve our department by retaining and keeping manpower. And that overflows into the protection of the citizens of this county.
So you say there can be some savings or some more value added for the money they're spending?
There can be.
With better retention and training?
Yes, sir. And I believe that, there's grants out there. I've researched this already. There's grants out there that we can incorporate into be able to do the recruiting and retention and keeping officers in our department a little longer than 2 years.
Well, explain to the retention problem. Is there a retention problem? What have you seen, being there in a leadership role in the sheriff's office?
I hate to say this, but there's a lot of times opportunity come up where smaller agencies are paying more than we are.
What do you mean? Describe a smaller agency paying more. Who would that be?
Well, like Menard. We've had a couple.
Menard, the county of Menard pays more than Tom Green County.
Sure do.
Because they're so rich down there in Menard.
So they're able to actively recruit,
Right.
And so we lose officers just to that little area. And so, that's just an example.
But it sounds like they're leaving for money. So how are you going to, with the grant money, you're hoping to expand the payroll?
Well, the grant money is what I want to do is make a career path for people that want to be in Tom Green County. We have a jail, which is going to be our largest employer. We have so many jailers. And so I want to incorporate a program where I focus on having a career path if the jailer wants to come on the patrol side.
Okay, so explain to me, if I wanted to become a county law enforcement officer, is a likely pathway to be hired on as a jailer at the jail, or would it be to be hired on as a deputy?
So just for clarification, what a lot of people need to understand is as a sheriff's office deputy, you have to be state certified already. Okay. You already have to have your license. Okay. So that means you have to go to an accredited law enforcement academy and pass your state test.
And we have one here in town.
We do.
The San Angelo Police Department has one?
Well, the San Angelo Police Department has their own academy, but the Concho Valley Council of Governments for individuals that want to sponsor themselves.
Right. And those guys, so if you want to be a county law enforcement officer, you would go to the Concho Valley County Council.
That's correct. And that's at nighttime. So that lasts about 9.5 months. And so if we have our own academy where we have jailers that already been doing the work in corrections, stay a year, if I can get a 2-year commitment from those guys and saying, hey, I want to be on the patrol side, I want to be able to stay in this community, and invest in those guys at first, because we're going to still have people going to the academy because it's at nighttime and so forth. So that would give us more of a pool to be able to pull from.
Okay, so that's recruiting.
That's correct.
All right, what about retention?
Retention. One of my biggest things is the training.
Okay.
And so, we focus on that. We have a lot of equipment that we don't have the manpower and the time to train with. So, I want to be able to continue the training aspect of it. Schools are very important, and continuing education is very important.
Okay, so explain, like, I know at the police department, the San Angelo Police Department, they'll send an officer every once in a while to the FBI Academy. Is that available to the sheriff's deputies?
It is. Unfortunately, we have not sent anybody's in a long time that I'm aware of.
To the FBI
Yes, sir.
Academy? Well, they haven't sent, I don't know if they've sent anyone from San Angelo since Mike Hernandez, I'm not sure.
That's correct.
So what other training, explain some of the training opportunities that you would like to
A lot of people probably don't realize that we also have a special response team. Call it a SWAT team, but we call it a special response team.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to pull from our patrol guys and utilize them as the special response team. So if anything critical happened, we're able to utilize that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially with the shortage of manpower, we don't have the cross-train in that aspect.
I see.
So I think it's very important that, that training is there as well, because that will benefit them on the patrol side.
Mm-hmm.
Criminal interdiction is also another one that we could look at. We do have a grant for that, but we don't just people stopping, because there's a lot of activities going down the highways. So we just need to maybe train those guys what they're looking for.
So the interdiction would help stem the drug trade
That's
along
correct.
US 277, 8767 that's coming
Yes,
through.
sir.
Okay. All right, let's talk about fighting crime.
Okay.
Sheriff Jones says one of the biggest problems with San Angelo is the growing drug problem. He said the drug problem could be linked to theft, petty theft, car theft, those kinds of things, and it's putting a lot of stress on all the law enforcement agencies. What do you see as the biggest problem with crime in Tom Green County?
It is. Drugs, of course. And we know methamphetamine is a big, major problem in Tom Green County. Our officers are doing as best as they can out there. I say our officer because I work with those guys. But they're doing a very good job. Lately in the news, they're actually making some good traffic stops. And that's leading into more to interdiction, and that's well done. I see part of the solution, I look at ways to improve things, is as a DARE instructor, being in the schools, I see interacting with these young kids, building that trust. Building
So
that
DARE
rapport.
is D-A-R-E, what does it stand
Yes,
for?
sir. Drug Abuse Resistance Education.
Okay, so you're a volunteer DARE instructor at the public schools.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so I get involved and interact with the kids. And, they tell you a lot of things. Kids at that age, a lot of them are innocent. And they say, hey, I know so-and-so is doing this. And, those are some indicators that we can pass as intel and build over time. But these kids are getting older. And as they get older, as they become adults, that relationship is still there. I have kids that, I've just met that says, hey, now they're in the working profession, and they said, hey, you used to be my DARE instructor. And so I have that relationship, and I think that's really great, because now they know, hey, they can put a face with a department, and hey, they're not afraid to reach out if they
So
need
how
help.
would you get more sheriff's deputies involved in the DARE program?
The DARE program is a program that's cut, just like a lot of programs are getting cut from the schools. We do still have a DARE officer training program in the state of Texas that's overseen by DARE America. And so once in a while, they'll have a DARE training program available. It is a 2 weeks program, 2 weeks training program, and it's very intense. It was one of my, it sounds weird, but it's one of my intense training that I've been in law enforcement.
DARE training.
It
Okay.
was, because
All
they
right,
put you in schools.
I'm going to ask an off-the-wall question.
Sure.
You've been doing this for 19 years. Give me like your scariest moment as a sheriff's deputy.
My scariest moments, I remember when San Angelo Department got in a car chase with a subject that had kidnapped his girlfriend and wife. And they were going down the highway. It started on 33rd is where I got involved in the chase. It went all the way out in Carlsbad. And it went further than that, but it went to Carlsbad, and I swear to you, the median between the state schools is so wide, we had officers all over the place. And I remember that subject was coming right at me with his headlights. And when I look around me, all kind of headlights were coming at me too. I didn't know where to go, and I thought I was fixing to get hit because he was driving reckless. Anyhow, I was able to maneuver out of the way. The subject drove on the wrong way, on the wrong side
On
of
the
the
wrong
highway.
side of the highway, on the
And he
87
all
north.
the way. And then, during that chase, another officer said, hey, I'll pull over in front of you. I got this. And so when she did that, she ended up hitting a deer.
Oh, really? So
And
the
it
deer.
exploded all over my car, and I could not see very well through the window.
So another officer rolled in front of you, hit a deer,
That's correct.
and then you got
It
the deer.
exploded
Exploding deer.
onto my car. And it was pretty exciting, but we went past Sterling City into the next county where they finally got him to stop. And so, I mean, we had so many officers that at that time converge on him. He didn't have anywhere to go. But still, it was the scariest part of me was when I thought I was fixing to get hit. And then this guy was going the wrong way. I've had situations guys try to run me over in their vehicle during chases and so forth. So, I've had a pretty exciting career. Even part of the FLDS in El Dorado. I was on the SWAT team at that time. We were doing the perimeter. And I remember those guys, that was close to Waco time, when
Right.
David Koresh and the explosion,
Right.
fire, and so forth. And
And to clarify with readers, David Koresh, it was Waco. The Branch Davidians happened in '93.
That's correct.
That was a federal action. FBI agents went in and moved in, and then
started shooting and
started
fire.
shooting. Next thing, you fire, and the whole thing. It was all a big wooden building. It went up in fire and killed a bunch of people.
That is correct.
And so down here in El Dorado, we were worried about that becoming the same kind of situation.
That is correct. That's exactly right. That was still fresh in our mind and so forth. And I remember those guys were on the perimeter in their four-wheelers. And, that's where it started, because they were checking their perimeter, and I thought they were going to pull out weapons and so forth. Thank goodness.
You mean the Branch Davidians? The FLDS had
That's
four
correct.
wheelers, and they were
Checking their perimeter.
and you were there on the other side of the fence.
That's correct.
Looking into the
Maintaining.
ranch.
That's right. And we thought,
This could happen.
could happen. That's correct. And thank God it did not happen, and, everybody went home
Right.
safely. But yes, I was part of that, and that was pretty exciting as well. Being on our special response team, I've been through a lot of doors and things like that, and there's been situations, but those are some of that I remember pretty well.
So you know a lot about training, and you have some ideas for that. Let's talk about the jail.
Okay?
All right, we're going to get a new jail. Right now, we have a 449-bed jail for Tom Green County, the old jail.
That's correct.
Everyone says it's too old, we can't use. We're going to abandon that, and we're going to move up there to the Roy K. Robb area on the northeast corner of town, or the county. It's going to be a long transport. So you pop a drug dealer on South 277 down there by Cristobal, you're going to have a 40-minute commute to take him to jail, as opposed to like a 25-minute commute. So what do you see as some of the issues and procedure changes you're going to do to handle this brand new, I think it's 588-bed jail?
552.
552?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Right.
so we're getting, 102 more beds for $78 million, and we're going to have it on the way up in the north side. So talk about logistics for that. How's that going to affect
You're absolutely right. That is a situation that has to be dealt with accordingly. And I hate to say that, like in law enforcement, we have to adapt and overcome. But it is a true statement. We have to figure out how we're going to maintain, if we have somebody arrested, how we're going to have that coverage for the county still. And so...
And the coverage of the county, and so people understand out there in TV land, we have, about 6 patrols going?
Usually, yes.
Usually?
Right.
And some of those are commercial vehicle inspectors, right?
Usually we have 6 patrol officers, and that does not necessarily include the commercial vehicle enforcement.
Okay.
And that's one of the guys that's extra.
I
And
got
so,
you.
Right.
So
But
he would be the 7th guy?
That's correct.
I got you. So
And then we
you-
also have our mental health unit. If we really get down to it, and we have to have.
So you have people you
somebody-
can call in?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is
So
correct.
anyway, you got your 6 patrol people generally,
Right.
unless there's an emergency. And now you're going to take one guy off to go on the 45-minute jaunt to the new jail.
That's correct.
Right.
And so what it is, they still have to do that. Of course, they have to get that subject to the jail. And so whenever that happens, dispatch is automatically know we have a CAD system, computer-aided dispatch, that will tell us where our officers are.
Right.
So if we have to pull, even say something major happens, or even if it's not major, we pull a mental health, or we pull the warrant officer or somebody to overlap on that. But that is something that we have to understand, that going forward, that we have to maintain the coverage. This is why it ties back into the recruiting and retention. Got to be able to keep those people. Got to be able
Right.
to have those people to be able to cover that. But that's a very valid point that a lot of people, I don't think, realize that that's part of the logistic that we have to compensate for.
As a taxpayer, Tom Green County, I want to ask, what could the county sheriff do to better utilize our shared resources? For example, at Goodfellow Air Force Base, we have the P4 system where we have county and the Air Force are training, firefighters, or that kind of thing, or the city and the Air Force Base are doing. Is there any interlocal agreements you think we could do with the like San Angelo Police Department or with the Goodfellow Air Force Base to better utilize resources the taxpayer? To the taxpayer, I don't care if it goes to the county, school district, or city, or the feds. I'm paying money. I want to know you're using them efficiently.
And that's absolutely correct. That's how I feel. I want to make sure all my manpower is being utilized efficiently. I am a person that likes to look at changes, how to improve things, and I do that quite often. Even in my present position that I'm in. I look for ways to improve.
So what have you done in your present position to improve?
Well, even like in dispatch, dispatch is one of my biggest areas. I call that the brain of our operation because
The brains of the sheriff's department.
that's because every
is
call
dispatch.
comes in and they have to figure out where they're sending and what
Right.
they're doing. And so if it breaks down right there, then the person that called is not going to get the help they need. So I try to change up that if somebody calls in, what are they calling for? They're calling for help. Let's get them the help they need and let the officer decide what they need to do from that point, not on the dispatcher.
I see.
So that's one of the changes that I've utilized because before they,
So you're better empowering the patrol officer to decide what resources he needs, and he'll tell dispatch what he needs.
That is correct. That way, he's a certified peace officer. He knows what the laws are, what are civil, what are criminal, and they have to figure that out on scene instead of our dispatcher trying to investigate the call and making a decision on it. That is
see.
correct.
Okay. Campaign stuff. How's the campaign going?
Campaign's going well. I can't complain. I have a lot of support, and I'm very thankful for the people in this community for what they've shown me. I mean, this is an exciting time for me. It gives me an opportunity for growth, and again, I believe in the rank and file system. I worked my way up from the jail. I've been in the jail and so forth. I've been on patrol for several years, working overnight because why? That excited me. I wanted to be a part of that, where I was able to get out there and get those guys that are moving around at nighttime. And now I'm in an administrative position. So I've done a lot of things throughout my career in the sheriff's office, and I know I can better lead the sheriff's office in a more progressive manner, and so making it more community oriented. Again, we work for the taxpayer. We work for every citizen in this county, and I want to make sure they understand that. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Well, this is Keith Muncey. He's running for sheriff for Tom Green County. The Republican primary is March 3rd.
That is correct, March 3rd.
All right. Thank you for visiting with us. I'm Joe
Thank
Hyde
you.
with San Angelo Live.